Plataforma de información musical y radio online. Rutas Alternas. Escucha.
En esta oportunidad para Rutas Alternas tenemos el enorme gusto de conversar con Ernest Greene, que es parte de Wash Out, que está de plácemes porque tiene nuevo disco, Purple Noon, recién lanzado al mercado, así que nos enlazamos vía Zoom con Ernest. Hola, Ernest.
Hola, how's it going?
Very well. And how are you? Where are you right now?
I'm in my studio in Atlanta, Georgia. It's attached to my house, so it's nice and convenient.
Of course, it's convenient because during this lockdown, you can maybe you work a lot in your studio, right? Over these days, right?
Definitely, yeah. I mean, I'm sort of used to this lifestyle already, but it is quite weird releasing an album and then not going on tour for months at a time. I'm still adjusting to that idea.
It's also a new way to have these conversations, but I think it's great to can see each other and can talk face to face in a long distance, but face to face.
Oh no, it's really exciting. I've been doing most of my interviews this way, and yeah, just who would have thought, even 10 years ago, like just this quality of conversation across the world with someone would be this easy.
I know it's very different, but it's positive. It's some of the positive things that happened during this pandemic.
In my life, the positive side? Yeah, no, without a doubt. Yeah, there's a lot of things. I've been doing a lot of live streaming instead of traditional shows. And I was just saying in another interview how interesting it was getting real-time feedback, with people's thoughts about what they like and what they don't like, and seeing that immediately is really different and really useful.
So, Ernest, you have released Purple Noon. It took you 3 years to make this record, correct?
Yeah, it was more like 2 years.
Okay.
One of those years was touring, took up a big part of that. And then I actually finished the album around this time last year. So I've been kind of sitting on it for a while. But yeah, the album making process for me can become quite detailed, and it's not something I can just do in 3 or 6 months, like a lot of other artists.
Okay. And how different is Purple Noon besides your other works? What do you want to talk about it in this album? How do you want it to sound?
Sure. I think in a lot of ways, it's sort of like a hybrid of some of the things I've done in the past. The last record I did was called Mr. Mellow. It came out in 2017, and it was made entirely out of samples, and because of that, it was like sort of like a collage or putting a puzzle together. And then there's some other records I've done in the past where they were done in a little bit more traditional way of, writing the song at a piano and then recording it in a studio and that sort of thing. And I think Purple Noon is sort of the best of both of those worlds in a lot of ways. I recorded most everything here in this space and mainly did everything on my computer. So there was that kind of electronic side of doing things. But then at the very end of the process, I went to a studio that's not far from here, that's in Atlanta, and recorded some drums and some other musicians playing. So it very much is a sort of hybrid electronic live performance thing, which I felt really exciting.
That kind of instrumentation gives the electronic music a very different sound and a very different vibe on the stage. I mean, it's better to have these organic instruments, and it feels very powerful.
Definitely. Yeah, like the tour that we did for the last album, since it was so many samples, oftentimes we're just like hitting these sample pads, or I don't know if you know what a sampler is, but it has these tiny little pads where you can trigger sounds. It's not very interesting to watch, I don't think. So yeah, being able with this record, fleshing out the songs with a live band, drums, bass, guitar, that sort of thing has been really fun. And yet it still has that electronic side of it as well, that's coming from some of the synthesizers and that sort of thing.
So, Ernest, you have told me that you miss a lot touring, but you have made an streaming recently. How do you feel it with that?
Yeah, it's certainly different. There's something magical about being in a space with an audience, and particularly when it's, a lot of people. There's, this natural vibe that you obviously don't get online. But I do like having control of, the way it sounds and looks. We did a band performance the day that the album came out, and we were able to shoot at this really sort of exotic beachside location. It looked like almost we were like standing on top of the water. The background was really beautiful, and it was at sunset. So that's really exciting, kind of planning all of that. And it obviously helps sort of set the mood for, the vibe I was creating with the album. It certainly played into that. And that side of it is interesting. I feel like every other musician out there, I'm just, we're adapting to the time we're in. And this is the best we could come up with. But, still looking forward to hopefully next year being able to do the touring in a bit more traditional way.
Yes, absolutely. There's nothing like the live music, the music in front of an audience, having a beer, having a dance. I don't know. It's amazing how the music impact our lives.
Sure. Yeah, and that's certainly missing now. And I look forward to getting back to that for sure.
And you also, Ernest, made a Q&A through your Instagram account with your fans. One of the most important things over these past years is that you as an artist can have this contact with your fans, maybe not as direct as an Instagram live, but a lot of fans write you through social media and give their opinion, and maybe they tell all the time, please come to Mexico or come to another country. How was your experience in this in front of an audience Q&A?
No, it's the whole process of releasing this album has been new and very exciting, honestly. I'm 37, so I'm a bit older than, a lot of people, and I've never really adapted well with social media. Unlike, a younger generation, I feel like it comes more natural. But this is the first time that I've, done these sorts of like direct interactions. I mean, of course, like at shows, I meet a lot of fans, and it's always amazing hearing, their perspective on things. But yeah, just the sheer number of followers that I've been in contact with, and the Q&A that you mentioned is really interesting because I just learned so much about what's working with the album, what might not be working, things to like maybe try differently the next time around. It's this real-time feedback, which I've never really incorporated in my process before. So I definitely plan, on continuing that interaction and really trying to learn, what's going through the average listener's head.
Yes, maybe some of these new things can stand in the music industry, because the music industry and the entertainment industry had a strong impact during this pandemic, because there are no live shows, no live entertainment artists. I mean, as an artist and as a consumer, we need to find new ways. The live shows will return, but some of these things maybe still remain in the future.
Oh, you're right. No, and I think I try to look at like things like this in an optimistic view, and I do think it's interesting how even in the last 4 or 5 months, how like live streaming or just the performances that you see online are like certainly evolving. I watch from time to time, like the performances that are happening on late night television, things like The Tonight Show, that sort of thing. And, at first it was people, just with their, camera phones playing music, maybe singing, whatever. And it's already evolved into like these crazy sort of hybrid productions where you can tell people put a lot of energy and money, and it's probably pre-recorded, that sort of thing. It reminds me a little bit of like the early days of MTV or something, where it could be like a new format or something, which is exciting, I think. And who knows, there could be hologram performances in your living room that develop from this sort of thing. I don't know. We'll see.
We'll see. So, Ernest, now that you mentioned MTV, your latest single, Paralyzed, have an amazing video. What can you tell us about it?
Sure. Well, the song, the lyrics of the song, the story it tells is very much about sex. And so it made sense that the content of the video would sort of deal with that to some degree. And I was a big fan of the filmmaker. It's a Dutch filmmaker. And we talked a lot about the song and ideas for the video. And we agreed that, sex is something that doesn't necessarily need to be, it's not a bad thing, and it's not like a explicit thing, really. And we decided to try to present a sexual encounter in a way that was very romantic and authentic, and just trying to do it in a beautiful romantic light. And so that was sort of the goal. And it's been interesting seeing people's perspective. It is for some people's perspectives a little on the graphic side. It contains some nudity, but that's how sex works.
I know.
So yeah, it's definitely something not to be ashamed of or anything.
It's an amazing video, and it's great that YouTube can have this video and don't have this kind of ethics things because of the nudity. It's the human body.
Exactly. Yeah, that was our thoughts exactly.
Well, the video is amazing. The album is amazing, Ernest. I've been listening this album over the past days, and I found a lot of great vibes and a lot of great things, very different from your other works, but very contemporary. I don't know. It's amazing. Congratulations.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
So, Ernest, finally, do you already have some gigs for 2021, or you will wait until we see what happens with the virus?
Yeah, I mean, there's been something like 5 or 6 different versions of a tour that have been canceled and rescheduled. I think maybe sometime in the spring of next year is where the current routing is taking place. So yeah, we'll see. We have fingers crossed. You hear things every day about a vaccine. Certainly hopeful that happens sooner than later. So we'll see.
We'll see. Looking forward to see you live and see you live here in Mexico. You will have last when you come here. And maybe you can come also to Guadalajara and Monterrey, not only to Mexico City.
Oh, sure. That would be amazing.
Well, Ernest, congratulations for Purple Noon, and have a great day. Thank you so much for this chat.
Thank you. My pleasure.
Plataforma de información musical y radio online. Rutas Alternas. Escucha.